Welcome to Big Brave Business. This is the podcast where we answer big questions reshaping entrepreneurship. I'm Sarah K. Heater, and this is Season 3. Each week, I'm bringing on my friends, mentors, and some of the best thought leaders I know. We dive into bold, values-driven conversations about leadership, equity, ethics, and building businesses that actually make a difference. Ready to do business better? Let's dive in. Welcome back to Big Brave Business. I'm bringing back a return guest this week, and I'm super excited to dig into this because if you've been listening to this podcast for a while, first of all, thank you. But second of all, you've heard her voice before on a few episodes, but we're going to spend a little time together one-on-one today, and I'm just so looking forward to that. So anyways, thank you so much for joining us once again, Siobhan Strode.
Hey, it's nice to be back. Thank you for having me.
So right before we hit record, and I'm going to make sure, of course, that Siobhan's bio and links are in the description of the episode, just like always. We're not gonna dwell on that at this moment. But if you don't follow Siobhan on LinkedIn, you totally should, because part of what made me reach out and say like, hey, you need to come back on is that your posts on LinkedIn are not the kind of conversation that I'm typically seeing people have on LinkedIn. They're more big, brave, businessy. And so I was like, okay, yeah, we just need a chance to kind of catch up, check in. We haven't talked in a while. And so having a chance to really just see your face and get to chat with you was really on my heart. And of course, we have a mutual friend, Katie, who just moved to Europe last year. And so now you guys have connected on the other side of the world. And that's really cool. So anyway, so that you've also been on my heart for that. But that said, when we're about to hit record, we're talking about like, what could we talk about? We could talk about so many things. And you said a couple sentences that I was like, that's it. That's what we're doing. And I started recording. So let's just like go back to that. You said selling feels really hard right now. The floor is yours. Tell me. Tell me about that.
So, okay, I'm just gonna lay it out there because I'm a really open, honest person, and I'm not good at like playing the fucking game. That's why I can't work in corporate. So basically, like I'm about to be launching. I'm kind of pre-launch stage, and like that, like I'm supposed to be like showing up and telling everybody how amazing I am, and blah 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 blah. But the world is burning. Trump is a psychopath. What is going on in the kind of Middle Eastern area? Just genocide, blowing up random countries and schools and whatnot. Like the right wing taking over, trying to take over UK politics as well. There's so much going on. My 4-year-old still isn't sleeping through the night. There's like so many things. Like I just feel like turning up and being like, hey, come on my speaker program for 6 weeks. And then I'm a hypocrite because I don't want to show up and talk about anything because I'm like, is it really a big deal right now? Like I've like got so many things going on in my head that I'm really struggling to show up and be consistent and visible and just to like tell people about what I do, because all the horrors and just everything. Do you know what I mean? Like it's a lot.
Yeah, it is a lot. And of course I know what you mean. And I think what's so interesting about this for me, and I think that this would be true for anybody who's listening from the United States, is to know that feeling is global, that's really immense and powerful, because I think I've made this joke several times already since we got on this Zoom, but like the stereotype is that Americans tend to show up on the internet and think everything is about us. And so related in the same vein, I think it has felt isolating. We know that other people in other countries are facing their own political dilemmas, both before the current like era of politics and during, right? We do hear about protests that are happening in the UK, protests that are happening in Canada, things that are changing, governments that are changing hands, that are going through like major shifts and changes in like Hungary and Ukraine, and like there's so many places that are going through like really big major shifts and changes, right? So yes, rationally I know that, but it also has felt like America, I hate that, the United States is a the butt of the joke internationally, and the reality of living here right now is exhausting. It doesn't feel funny, it doesn't feel fun, it doesn't feel like it's, I mean, and it could be so much worse. There's a lot of places in the world that where, to your point, like either actively sending troops in to harm other people or funding other troops coming in. And but the point is, I think that there's something validating in knowing you're not alone in that experience, that like other people are feeling that too. So if you're listening to this and you're like, that's exactly what everything Siobhan said, that's exactly how I've been feeling. The like number one thing I need you to do if you are on LinkedIn is go connect right there with both of us and tell us like, yes, same. Same. That's how I feel, because then we at least have each other. Now, of course, what immediately comes up for me is this, and I think we have something in common in helping people, especially people who have underrepresented voices. We help amplify those voices with the work that we do. And so me through podcasting, you have the speaker program. I actually think that's incredibly mission critical right now. So that's the first thing that comes up for me, is like all the things that you're feeling and experiencing. That's exactly why those marginalized and underrepresented voices, people who have those voices, need your support in amplifying their message. And so that comes up for me, but I want to know, like, does that resonate? Does that even matter? Does that like what comes up for you when I say that?
Yeah, and I know that in my heart, like I know that that matters, and I know I've supported people through the program before, and I'm my one-to-one work, and like everything I do, like even like I've been running like a kind of, I've been going into organizations and doing preventing sexual harassment training because there's like a
Mm,
law change coming in. I'm like doing a
mm,
collaboration on it, like so I'm everything I'm doing is like purposeful and have meaning, but I just, in the grand scheme of things, I'm just like, I don't know. And it's things like pricing my
yeah.
things. I'm like, who am I to be asking for money? There's so many things going on with me, Sarah, in that like, I want to be doing my stuff. I want to be selling it, but there's like resistance. And I don't know whether it's like part of my ADHD stuff, like whether there's like shame or rejection concerns, or like, because I have really bad RSD, like rejection sensitive dysphoria. Like I get
Mm.
like, I'm really shit at asking for feedback of stuff, even though I know the feedback's gonna be good. I don't even know. Like I don't even want good feedback. Don't tell me. Like I do, like I can't like, yeah. I mean, there's so much. This isn't a therapy session, no, Siobhan, so don't do that.
Is the stuff that I have shared on this podcast goes deep. Like, I don't know.
Just
As
I'm
deep as
very
you want to go.
my oversharing is so like
Yeah.
renowned. But again, I'm like, I'm so, when I do show up and I talk to people and I'm in a good place and I can talk about stuff, and even if I'm sharing from like a bit of a wound, like it's, I don't mind, and I might overthink it a bit afterwards, but sometimes I just go into complete like isolation freeze mode where just like, where does this fit into everything?
Mhm.
And I feel so insignificant, but then it's so hypocritical to say that when I'm like, come and work with me and I'll help you speak up. I don't want to speak up myself though. So that's, do
Mm.
you know what I mean? Like I
Yeah,
just
this
feel a
is
bit
so
like a
layered
twat.
and deep. Yeah. Oh, there's so much going on there. And I think trauma, right? Like that's what's going on. It's trauma responses and how that trauma response affects our ability to continue to show up. And then we're living in a relentless news cycle of continued re-traumatizing ourselves, like getting re-traumatized every time we open social media or turn on the news or read a news article. And it's like, so then it perpetuates that trauma response, and it feeds our brain all of the falsehoods or even truths that support the patterns our brain is looking for proof of. I'm looking for proof that I'm insignificant. I'm looking for proof that I'll be rejected. I'm looking for proof that nothing matters, that I don't matter, that this, yeah, that's deep. And it's a lot. It's a lot.
It is. And it's funny because like when you messaged me, I was feeling quite like I'd had a really manic January and February. March had loads of like projects that overran, and like when you just don't have, because you're doing the work, you don't have any time to like market, or like you just capacity when you got a family and the world is burning, your capacity just like, so yeah, March, and I don't even know where April went. I literally just blinked and missed it. I don't,
Yeah.
it's the 29th. What?
Yeah.
Like we have the Easter holidays here. I don't know what your holidays are like in the US, but like we have 2 weeks. It was like 2.5 weeks of the kids being off school.
Oh,
And like, and then my husband's off school as well. And then we decided to sack off our estate agent and get a new one, and then new photo, like just, yeah, April, don't know what happened. So basically, like I've just wasted 2 months. I don't,
isn't that
and then, yeah,
so capitalism of that sentence, though, to say wasted two
yeah,
months when the things you just listed that you were doing should be some of the most important things in life, and how capitalism has programmed us to see that as a waste.
it's so
I'll match
toxic.
you there because I was working head down, nose to the grindstone, like a ridiculous amount of hours. What do they say? Burning the candle at both ends, going into like mid March. And my 10-year anniversary came up with my husband, and he was like, "You're taking time off. We're going to go away just for like 2 nights, right? Like, we went midweek. We didn't even go on a weekend. It was just like, hey, when can you fit this into your schedule? Like, let's just do it right now." And so I had told my team, "Hey, I'm going to take this time off." And they were like, "Okay, what's the plan? Like what actual time are you taking?" And I said, "I'm going to go for 3 days, 2 nights, just locally, like we just not a staycation, but like 2 hours away." And then I worked that weekend, which I weekends are a big work days for what I do, so that isn't abnormal for me. That following week, my brother was coming into town, and so I was like, "I'm going to go ahead and be out of office completely for that week." And I actually had somebody on my team not just take on my client work, but also manage my inbox, which was like I've never done that. That was a really huge step for me.
That's amazing.
Um, and it wasn't like, it's so funny. I was available. My brother was here. Like, I mean, we're just mostly hanging out, like talking, finding cool restaurants to check out and whatever, because he lives out of state. And so we have different food selections and stuff. And like, literally, that was the most exciting thing that we did. Like, we weren't like doing stuff. Right. And so, of course, I'm like on Wi-Fi, I can check my email on my phone. And so if I opened emails though, I would get a text message actually from Katie. She was the one who was doing it. I would get a text message from Katie saying, "I see you in your inbox, get out." Like, just stop. So it was really nice. A really good like practice run for being able to do that in the future. And then in like early to mid-April, I had my birthday. And then actually weirdly, my brother came back into town for the last week of April as well. And so I and that's really unusual, by the way. I normally see him like 1 to 2 times a year, and so in this case, to see
Wow.
him like 1 month apart. But anyways, all of that to say, I too wasted quite a lot of the past 2 months, and yet it's like the stuff that's the most important. I mean, I was literally gonna just work through my 10-year anniversary. Like, okay, let's be real. Like, there's things that are just, they should just be more important than selling. And then at the same time, I'm having panic attacks during in the midst of this of like, I'm not selling. I have no leads in my pipeline because I'm not lead generating. And like, that feels terrible. Yeah, that's capitalism.
Yeah, and it is so toxic. It's really funny when you said about going away, because for the first time in 9 years, me and my husband went away in the second week of April. My in-laws, who will never listen to this podcast, because I can say what the fuck I like, we live with them. We bought the house with them. Like, you'd think I'd have like on tap childcare support. No, nada, no. So like this was a big deal. We went away for 2 nights, 2 hours away to Bath, 2.5 hours. It's about 4 hours by train, but like as the crow flies, it's supposed to be about 2 hours. And I went to Bath and basically just had a lovely foodie, lovely, lots of, went for tapas. It was delicious. Potted, we went to university in Bath and we had a really nice time. And I had this delusion that like my very empty cup would be filled by these 2 nights away. But I think I got like a dribble of like
Yeah.
liquid. Like I was like, I literally wrote an email to my list being like, guys, I'm so sorry I've been inconsistent. I'm going away for a reset and I'm going to come back and it's going to be amazing. No, Siobhan, reader, she did not do amazing. Listener, she did not do amazing. She got back and her cup was not filled. I just think like, yeah, things are not set up for you to enjoy life. Like that is not the way they want things to be. They don't want you to be, capitalism doesn't want you to be enjoying life. Like that's not the purpose of capitalism, right? Like you're supposed to be working to like burning the candle at both ends, like you said. Like I don't know, like you're supposed to be so tired that you don't stand up and speak about what you give a shit about. Like
Exactly.
that's the whole point of it.
Yes.
And like, and
And
that's
that's
been the
exactly
same
where I was going
forever.
to go with it too. The whole point is to work for it so that you, with the myth that you can earn it or that you'll deserve it or like work to a certain point, but it's really to make other people richer and to keep you broke, right? Like to
Yeah.
keep you broke, sick, tired, yeah, all like burnt out in all the ways. Yeah, it is really fascinating. And I think having to step back and unplug from that is really important and necessary because although it does not ease the burden when you take time away from the hustle, it does not do anything to ease that. It does not fill your cup back up. But when you get back, it's really just as much of a hustle as it was before you left. And if that's the case, yeah, you actually can step back. You
Yeah.
actually can. And they make you, they, capital T, they make you feel like you can't. Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting. I go back and forth on it because I'm not like a pro hustle culture person. Don't
No,
misunderstand. This
you're
is
not at
not a
all.
like yay hustle episode. It's actually like, hey, the hustle's killing us so much that even a time away with your partner doing a really relaxing reset is still not gonna like undo the damage of hustle culture. But anyway, at the same time, if I'm feeling stressed, if I'm on the edge, if I'm having like a nervous system reaction, if I'm having a panic attack, Eric will literally say to me, hey, why don't you go in your office and work for a few hours? Because you're going to come back feeling in control. You're going to come back feeling like you have a plan. You're going to come back feeling productive. And that you feel better when you do that. It's like, God, again, to your point, how toxic is that? If I'm on the verge of a panic attack, my husband's response is, why don't
Go
you
write an
go work for a
email.
few hours? Yeah.
I know what you mean though. Like mine might not be like work, but it will be like some sort of labor around the house. Like mine will be like a mental clear. So like tidy up the kitchen, put on a couple of loads of laundry. Like it will be like even cleaning the bathroom. Like I find that as like a mental, what's the word? Not reset. Like I find it calibrating.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like yeah, it's really strange, isn't it? How our brains work. Like and we're so unused to just sitting and doing nothing
Mhm.
and like and enjoying that. And like I did it today actually, where I was feeling really low and I'd done the usual like dopamine hits of like unloading the dishwasher while the kettle's on, like doing little bits and pieces. And then I was like, right, it's 8:30. I'm gonna sit down at my laptop. I'm gonna be productive. I'm gonna be productive. And then I was just like, oh, just I even texted my friend Evie, being like, who Katie knows as well. And Kate, in fact, they've met. I hate them because they met each other. I couldn't get to London. Anyway, I like texted Evie being like, oh, I need some motivation. I could just no. I felt really like, ugh, but I wanted to do something, but I just can't, I couldn't like, there was no, I don't, it probably is my ADHD, or it could be sheer exhaustion. Who knows? It could be perimenopause. I don't know. But like, I
All
just
of the
couldn't.
above. Some nervous system coach is listening to this and going, I want my hands on these two so badly. Like all I want to do is just help them process this. Yeah,
Yeah.
I get you. So let me ask you this. In the midst of selling feels hard right now because of all of this. And I obviously we're on the same page, right? And I know we're not alone. I know that the person listening to this can relate. And so I'm curious, are you still scrolling like social media? Are you opening emails? Are you engaging with people who are talking about business and entrepreneurship? Are you able to engage with that right now, or you can't even like it, even reading it doesn't do it for you?
That is a really good question, because you're right. I am actually actively supporting
Yeah.
other people. Like, I'm like, I'll get a great email, I'm replying to it. I did it this morning, like replied to a couple of emails, like I'm on their mailing list. I'm their friend, but like I'm on their mailing list. So
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
like, I know it's going to boost your numbers if I like reply to your email. I
Mm.
try and do that anyway, generally, as like my little like virtual high five to people. But like I'm doing that. I'm engaging in people's content who I know. I'm like, oh, they're trying to sell a program. Or my friend Maddie she got a free workshop coming up, so I was like resharing that on LinkedIn and boosting her posts on Instagram. But like, for myself, I just can't seem to muster. And don't get me wrong, like I did do a LinkedIn, I repurposed an Instagram post for LinkedIn, literally just copied the caption, put it on, just lazy. But I was just like, at least I've done something. And then
Mhm.
I sent an email out talking about May Day, and they're like, why I'm opening my doors on May Day? Because I was like, I just keep putting it off, like opening the doors. I'll do it on May Day, it'll be fine. Yeah. And like, I'm doing the bare minimum. I know I've got like no money coming in. I've got a couple of little projects, a couple of retainer clients, but like, it's not January, February, which are normally my worst months. January and February were like, they weren't, don't get me wrong, like they weren't like six figures or something. Like, they were great, and I wasn't hustling, but like it was a good vibe. And now I'm just
Mhm.
a bit like, I
Burnt
really
out.
need to make some money. Yeah,
Yeah.
I probably am really burnt out. And my kid's about to do his final exams for high school,
Mm,
and
that's huge.
like going off to university, and yeah, there's all that going on. Yeah, there's just a lot. And yeah, today was a really tough day, but I knew I had the highlight was this. I was like, I just need to keep going. I'm gonna have a lovely time talking to Sarah, and then I'm gonna cook a pad thai, and it's all gonna be fine. But yeah, today's been a slog,
Yeah,
like
I
doing
I hear
basic
you.
stuff.
I hear you on that. And I am right there with you. I've had those too. I think, you know, the reason I wanted to ask that is because I too am really engaged with people who are still actively showing up, to the point that, speaking of getting on free webinars, I'm going to make a confession that some people are going to be like, what? But I actually joined a free webinar of Amy Porterfield's last week. And mostly because I'm curious. So part of what feels exhausting to me about showing up is witnessing people who are showing up as if there's nothing else in the world that matters other than the program that they're selling. Now, most people, like in this community, right, we're doing both. We're acknowledging what's going on. We're also building offers that support, like I said, like in our cases, amplifying voices for people, right? Helping people amplify their message, helping people speak up, helping people share their ideas, and to engage in and participate in discourse, and like to do something, to say something, right? And so when people are selling as if it doesn't matter what administration is in the White House, or it doesn't matter what protests are happening in the streets, and it doesn't matter, like none of that matters, I'm just going to keep showing up and selling, that's really fascinating to me. But here's what I will say I noticed on, because I'm not like a witch hunt, let's, name drop people and call them out for their things. That's not really like what I've built a platform on.
You're
But
you're less petty than me, definitely. You're like a not you're less cunty, I would say, than I am.
I'll take it. So I get on this webinar and honestly trying to just have a totally open mind of like, what can I learn here? Now, from the webinar itself, nothing, I'm going to be honest. But what I will say is there were a ton of people on there live, and she gave away free coaching calls because she's trying to sell a program, right? Free coaching calls on the back end of this. and they they booked out in minutes. And so what I know to be true is that people are still spending money right now. They're actively looking for places to spend money. And to be quite honest, from my observation, they're seeking to spend money, honestly, with people who align with their values, with people who are adding value in a time where, and helping them feel seen and safe in a time where society is telling them they can't be either of those things. And so why not you? And why not your offer? Because honestly, there are people who are gonna either spend, and this is hyperbolic, but they're either gonna spend on Amy Porterfield's program or they're gonna spend with you. And there are people who would be a better fit. They'd get more results with you. Now, I'm not going to say that's true for everybody, and I'm not coming for anybody who's made a purchase from Amy Porterfield, whatever, that's the thing about capitalism, right? You get to spend the money that you have, however you want to spend it. That's up to you. But I feel really confident that there are people who need and would benefit from and are actively seeking to engage in a program like yours.
Yeah.
And if it's not available to them, they're still going to go buy a program. They just might not get results. They might not get the same values. They might not get the same alignment of person to person. And they're still going to go spend that money. Whatever they make, they're still going to go spend it. So at the very least, I think what we can do is make what we do available for the people who it's right for. And then that benefits everybody.
That's such a good way of looking at it. And it is just having the audacity as well to try, you would never do this and I would never do this, but that way of selling like there's nothing else that matters. Like you said, I find that fascinating as well. And I make this confession, why not? I toxic follow people. So
me too.
And I get those emails. So I think I might have unsubscribed finally after 7 years or whatever of being on Amy Porterfield's.
Oh, I go back and forth. Unsubscribe, resubscribe, unsubscribe, resubscribe.
And there's quite a few of that kind of ilk. They're all chums, aren't they? Talking Shrimp. They're all of them. And there's a couple of British versions. I would say less ethical than some of those people who I'm not going to name drop because she's prolific for suing. But anybody who knows me will know who I'm talking about.
I want to know.
I'll tell you after. But there's those people and their emails, they don't acknowledge anything. Actually, that's not fair. Oh my God, why can't I remember Talking Shrimp's actual real name? I've literally followed
Laura Belgray.
Laura Belgray. Oh my God, thank you. That is perimenopause, I think. But she actually does acknowledge, she fucking hates Trump. And she talks about that in her emails. I've not really seen her talk much about ICE or other stuff that's going on. But she's quite he's not one of us kind of thing. Or we're not part of that. Yeah. I don't know. But I do. Lots of people have said to me, you need to just unsubscribe. But I'm no, but it's so interesting from psychological perspective.
Both are true. I totally feel you. And I think it depends on your capacity. I think when your capacity feels completely shot, unsubscribing and unfollowing is the best thing you can do because those people just make you feel like shit, right? And so then doing a little detox is the best thing you can do. But when you have the capacity for it, I do think there's a lot to be learned. That's the truth. And one thing that I do think is a particularly interesting observation is when people who typically don't ever talk about anything political, and in fact, you can kind of infer what their political affiliations are because of the way they specifically don't talk about it, when they even start acknowledging there's been Amy's thing has been there's a trust recession, and she primarily makes it about AI, but she's there's a trust recession going on in media. There's trust has been really eroded, and it's kind of ironic. No, not kind of. It's super ironic coming from one of the names that is always on a list of people who there are people who feel burned by. right?
Yeah.
And I have not bought like her big offers, and I know she just made like a bunch of changes, but of course we all know like her old big offer was DCA. I never did that. I did some of her free or very low ticket, like trying to convert you into DCA programs,
Yeah.
and I did her list builder one. So I've bought from her, right? And in the
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
beginning of my business, it's like she's got great SEO. I didn't know anyone else to learn from, woman,
Yeah.
especially a
Yeah.
woman, right? And so I don't personally feel burned by her. I don't necessarily, I'm glad I didn't make a bigger investment to
Yeah.
hear more of the same. I mean, I listened to her podcast 2 episodes a week for like 5 years until I finally
Yeah.
got to the
I know
point where I
loads of
was
people
like,
did.
I'm hearing the same thing over and over and over. But that's where I learned the term evergreen. That's where, I mean, for foundations, like you got to start somewhere. So, anyways, I don't feel particularly, I don't think, to your point about there are people who are much less ethical, I don't think she's particularly unethical, but it is just ironic that her name is always on the lists of people who do witch hunt. And she's talking about a trust recession, right?
Yeah.
And how do you
Which
build trust?
which I also think is a term that she stole, by the
Yes,
way.
I've heard people say that. Yes.
Yeah, there's a brilliant trauma informed, not coach, but for trauma informed trainer, for facilitator called Katie Kurtz, who is shit hot, and I'm 99.9% sure that she coined the term.
Mm.
And yeah, I yeah, there's just it is interesting, isn't it?
It
Like that,
sucks that
like
that term has been co-opted, but what's interesting about that is so then is the implication that Amy Porterfield also follows her, at any
mm,
point learned something from her. And even if what she did was co-opted what she learned, which is not, I mean, that's very white, rich white lady thing to do. But even if
like,
that's not like an ethical thing to do, what an important step forward for Amy Porterfield to be learning from
somebody, yeah, like that.
somebody who is a trauma informed facilitator. That is really important. So, anyway, I'm not trying to make this about her, but my point is
Yeah,
when
yeah.
people who are big names like that, who have enough privilege and enough of a platform that they can usually avoid it, when they start talking about, oh, there's a lot of unrest, people feel like at unease, right? They're sitting in unease, they're whatever. Then you're like, oh man, things are bad enough, like in the general, like anxiety of the population, the generalized, our collective generalized anxiety is bad enough that even those big names are talking about it. So I think they're really interesting to follow as well. And I think it always, I talk about this a lot lately, my own framework of like how to run a business according to your ethics, of the double filters of number one, what works, and number two, what's aligned with you. And in order for it to be like truly the right thing for you, it has to be both, right? It has to both work. And so one of the reasons I sort of hate follow people is because, and you didn't even say that, you said toxic follow, but I hate follow. Sometimes people, and I wouldn't call Amy Porterfield a hate follow. That's like really extreme. Hate follow, believe me, is way more toxic than that. But part of the reason I hate follow is because I like to see what's working. And then how can I take lessons from what worked and apply like a trauma informed lens, my own personal ethics, my own core values, my own mission statement to the psychology or the lessons learned or the best practices or the industry standard or whatever. How can I flip that, change it, evolve it, whatever, so that it
Mm.
does align with who I am and what I do? But sometimes that's exhausting.
Yeah, but I love the fact that you do that. Like I don't think I don't think I have a like logical or sensible way of doing it. It's just toxic hate follow people. And I'm like, maybe there is like some of them have really great copy. I think that's why I used to like follow a lot of them, is because I was like, this is great. I'll save this in a folder for my next launch or whatever. And like you, like I followed these people and I thought they were great for like years. Like when I left teaching in 2015, I like full-time teaching, and I look, you when you start a business, you seek out, you're like, who's doing what? I don't know anything about anything in the online space. Like, who's here? And like, is it Carrie Green in the UK she'd worked with the same people that Laura Belgray and Amy Porterfield and oh my God, Mary. Marie Forleo. Oh my God, what is wrong with me? I can't remember any names, but like Carrie had worked with them, and he's Gary V.
Mm-hmm.
Like that. I never followed him. Just like the
I was
caveat.
just binging some of his podcast episodes this week. That's so funny.
But it's really funny, isn't it? Because it's stuff that kind of for us is probably like 2019, 2020. Like we kind of were just a bit like that's in the past, but also like still follow some of them because we're toxic. But it's that like for me, yeah, like there's lessons to be learned in like how they're selling, like what's the I'm really shit at doing systems and stuff, for example. Like what are what platforms are they using? How are they getting people into their funnel? Like
Yep.
sometimes I'm quite interested in like, oh, how where did this click through to? And then I'm annoyed at myself because obviously they can see that I clicked their email and then I'm
Yeah,
probably
now
on
you're going to be retargeted and all this. But even seeing how they retarget, I think it's interesting. And it's interesting to see how does it make you feel, because then you can have an informed opinion on what is right, wrong, good, bad, etc. for you. And I think that that
yeah.
really does matter. I also, although yes, I hate being retargeted by something I don't want. So yeah, that is a frustrating. It's like use an incognito window to click through and see. It's funny. I was listening to Gary Vee's podcast this week because I'm trying really hard to force myself to, this is really painful to say, listen to more men. And it's something that like I have just actively, I think we're like so forced to listen to men in so many aspects of life that I sort of feel like I've heard enough of what men have to say. And I just would like to not. However, that said, I do think there's part of me that's cutting off my nose to spite my face with that, because I like inarguably men as a gender have had not these specific men per se, but men as a gender have had access to rooms and experience that women have intentionally been left out of. And of course, that's only speaking in strictly a gender binary. That's not even addressing like the gender spectrum of it all. And so really to choose not to learn from a population of people who's had more access to doing business means intentionally closing myself off from leadership, mentorship, knowledge, and experience that might actually help me go further faster. I need to trust that I've done enough big, brave business to be able to filter it and apply it in a way that feels right for me. It's hard. Anyway, with that
But
being
did you learn
said,
anything? Did you learn anything though from
no,
re-listening to this?
learn. No, I think, oh, maybe jury's still out on that. Did I learn anything at face value? No. Am I going to be able to take what I heard and find ways to make it into something interesting? Maybe. And I think that there's a couple things. Number one, it's very repetitive. So if you binge episodes from someone like that, and I think this is kind of true for a lot of men, they have like a couple things that are their like go-to talking points, and they just rotate through those same talking points at different times in different places. And the thing that's really grinds my gears in listening to like Gary Vee's show specifically is that he says the same things over and over and over and over and over and over, and people clap and cheer and laugh and it's
Cult.
like Jesus.
It's a
Okay,
cult.
yeah, right. It feels like it, yeah. And he's just like, yes, I am great, thank you. And like women's spaces just don't feel like that. So, but then I would say another reason why I end up in these toxic cycles of listening to these big podcasts is because they're really well produced, they're really fucking consistent. More than 50% of people who start podcasts quit before episode 11. And it's something like 94% quit before they get to a year. Well, these are people who have been podcasting for 5, 6, 8, 12, 15 years. And the longer that you're in business, a consistent business podcast that's well produced, it sounds good. They're having conversations about things that are relevant, that are timely, that matter. It's not painful to listen to because it's, well, I mean, the sound is generally, now I will say Gary Vee's sound actually kind of sucks. Just because he's repurposing a lot of shit he does live. And so it's not optimized for a podcast. Anyways, so that's part of why I end up in these toxic cycles. One thing I've got to hand Amy Porterfield, although now she's just revamped her messaging, right? She's speaking to a higher level of entrepreneurs. So that's like slightly more interesting to me, but than the beginner stuff at this point. But one thing I've got to hand to Amy, she's very consistent and it sounds great. It sounds great. And there's virtually no ads except for her own stuff, which is perfectly acceptable. You just don't find podcasts like that. Some major podcasts are on, let's say, like iHeartRadio, and they're drowning in ads. I can't, and they sound like shit. I can't stand to listen to that, let alone indie podcasters who end up just quitting because it's a lot of work. So, as a podcast producer, that's my soapbox. I need more interesting voices to listen to who will be consistent, who will show up, and who will be well produced. And with that said, shameless plug, if that's you and you need to be starting a podcast, my link's in the show description. And let's get your show produced well and get you up on the internet because I want to listen to it. So yeah, anyways, I think, but I think that's why our work matters, because otherwise those are the only voices you do here. So all of that to say, Siobhan, let's end this not on a depressing note and say, what is one way we can both make a commitment right now? One simple thing that we'll do to show up in May that aligns with our energy level, our capacity, our values, and honors what the reality of the situation is, but still is showing up.
Ooh, what can I say? I'm going to make a commitment to show up at least 3 times a week until my doors close. So like 17th of May, I'm going to show up for the next 3 weeks. Yeah, 2.5, 3 weeks. I'm going to show up minimum 3 times a week. Doesn't matter where that is, does it? Like whether that's my email, LinkedIn, whatever. Hopefully I'll just repurpose everything and be really smart. But yeah, I'm gonna commit to that.
We can count this as one of them. So let me ask you, just again, shameless plug, what is the program that's opening and who's it for?
So it's a group program, a group experience called This Sister Speaks, and it's a 6-week guided thing where I basically have a little intimate group of women with an asterisk, an inclusive space for all women and non-binary folks to come, and it's essentially a feminist program. And I don't talk about leadership because otherwise people don't buy it. But yeah, you like come in and learn and get more confident in speaking about things you care about. There's some actual speaker training. It's kind of foundational, but it's fun and it's full of sisterhood and joy. It like completely lights me up. And I can feel myself getting excited talking about it, which is why I need to do more talking. But yeah, I love it. And it's so good. And I've done it a couple of times. And the women...
And it's virtual?
Yeah, it's online because I live in the middle of nowhere in the UK. So yeah, we have like they get a bit of learning from me each week. And then we come together in a live group program, a live group call on the Friday. So Mondays is like learning. You've got the week to catch up with the 20 to 30 minute thing. And then we have like a collective reflection session talking about what's come up from that, but also like looking at it in the context of what's going on in the world. And like, has anything come up this week for you? Like, has someone trolled you, or you didn't speak up in a meeting? Why was that? Let's talk it through. Like, and then there's a one-to-one session with me as well. So some people join and they're like, this is what I want to do. I want to do this at the end of it. I'm going to start a campaign on this, or I want to do a TEDx. Can you help me work through a like that workshop or speech or that kind of thing? Not speech, like a talk. So we do that in the one-to-one, or we'll like build a campaign strategy for the thing they want to launch, or we'll literally workshop something. It's a really like, I'm getting really excited talking about it. But yeah, it's a really brilliant offer, I think. And it's something that I've wanted to do since like 2020. And I just was so caught up in the copywriting and SEO world that I just never did it. I kind of weaved my speaking stuff into the messaging work. And then last year, relaunching my website and really going all in on the speaker stuff has been like really exhausting, but also brilliant. Like, yeah, and I'm really excited to welcome in like, I only want like maximum of 8 people because I don't like when you go in a group, you want it to be intimate, don't you? Like you want to be able to know the people's names, and you want to, I'm not like about scaling. Like I couldn't give a shit. Like I don't want to have 50 people in a group and then struggle to remember who does what, or I want to be able to remember exactly what those people want to do, and you know that they're struggling with their toddler, or that like their dog's a nutcase and they're going to have to be on I don't know, be on mute half the time, or I want to be able to support people really well. So yeah, because I got grilled last week by somebody being like, why don't you want to have 25 people? I was like, so yeah, sorry, that was not succinct at all. But yeah, it's a group thing. I don't know whether it's a program or a course. It's kind of a combination.
My friend Katrina, Dr. Katrina Mitchum, she's been on here a few times. She is also a consultant in my own business. She says it's a learning experience.
That's nice. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what it is. It's a learning experience. And it's going to help people's businesses as well. Like, I had some feedback I received from my failed launch in autumn was that I don't know what the ROI on this is. And I was like, I mean, I can't give you like, you pay this in, you get X out. Like, everyone comes with different things and experiences and backgrounds and obviously like hopes and dreams for what they want to get out of it. Like, some people come in, they're super confident, but they've got really specific things. And other people are coming with, like, this just sounds really cool and I want to be part of it. Like, other people are like, oh, I'm at the beginning of my feminist journey and I don't really know anything and I want someone to guide me. And then other people are like, I've done a post on Instagram and I deleted it. Like, so it's like, do you know what I mean? Like, there's everything. So the ROI is weird. Like,
this is for you if, ironically, you need to show up and you are struggling with how to show up. That could mean you want to speak on more stages. That could mean you want to show up more on social media. That could mean you want to start speaking on podcasts. Maybe you haven't done that and it's something you're really interested in doing. And you're in a small group environment virtually, a mix of async and live, and working with someone who has stood for parliament, which in the United States we would say running for office. So someone who has a lot of experience with how to stand up and use your voice even when it shakes, as like whatever that tropiness is. But if that's you, then we're gonna make sure that all that info is in the description of the episode. But also, hey, look, you did it. Well, this will air during that time, and then it counts.
Can you just come and do my promo? Come and do my promo for me, Sarah. Like, I'm just like,
because I needed my own. But what I will do is I'll provide this to you, and you can just repurpose it.
It's so good catching up with you.
This has been so much fun. Thanks for coming. And also, I hope to you listening that this makes you feel a little less alone, that in what you're feeling and what you're experiencing and trying to do business while the world is on fire, like, it's hard. Everything is hard and everything is terrible and we still need to sell, and that sucks. But we're all in this together, and it just takes showing up not even when you don't feel like it, but showing up in a way that matches your energy, your capacity, your values, and showing up in maybe new ways or different ways that as that continues to grow and evolve. So thanks so much for being here. Thanks for the catch up. This was so fun. And to you listening, thank you for being here, and we'll see you next week.